Ever feel like there's got to be a million ways to solve a math problem? Turns out there kind of are, especially when we're talking about math class.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
Today, we are diving into the surprisingly awesome world of fraction multiplication.
Buckle up.
Specifically, we're looking at the problem 4/16 times 2/5.
A classic.
But here's the thing. We are not just racing to the answer.
Right.
We're going to explore why different methods work, because that's what helps you really get it, not just memorize it, which we've all tried to do in math class, right?
Oh, yeah. And when you understand the why, it's like magic. It just clicks.
Totally. And get this, our sources lay out 12 different ways to crack this one problem.
12. It's amazing.
You talk about an aha moment. There's no single right way, which is honestly super freeing when you think about it.
It is. It's like, remember those old toolboxes like your dad or whatever would have?
Oh, yeah, full of every tool imaginable.
Exactly. Wouldn't use a hammer for every job, right? Different tools for different situations, just like with math problems.
Okay, that's a really good analogy.
Thanks.
So first up, the classic. Simplifying. Seems like a no-brainer, right? 4/16 cleans up to 1/4, which, let's be honest, makes the whole thing look way less scary. It's definitely what most people learn in school.
It's definitely efficient and sometimes the fastest way to get to the answer.
Right.
But here's where things get interesting. Some of the other methods, while maybe not as speedy, they give you this deeper grasp on what's actually happening with those fractions. It's like choosing to walk instead of taking the bus.
You might get there a little slower, but you get to appreciate the scenery along the way.
100%. Take successive halving, for example.
Okay, I'll bite.
It's a method, and it really beautifully shows how fractions are basically division in disguise.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Because 1/4 is half of a half.
Right.
You can actually get the answer by having 2/5 twice.
So you take half of 2/5, which is 1/5, and then half of that, which gives you 1/10, which is the answer.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's about more than just getting to the 1/10. Right?
Exactly. You nailed it. By having 2 times, you're basically dividing by 4, which is exactly what that fraction 1/4 means. It shows the connection between fractions and division, which can really help students, especially when they're first learning this stuff.
I wish someone had shown me that back in school. Would have made those late-night study sessions way less painful.
Tell me about it. And speaking of making things clear, let's talk visuals. Remember those? Drawing rectangles, cutting up pies, all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. I was a visual learner, big time.
Mm.
Those always made way more sense than just a bunch of numbers on a page.
And there's a good reason for that. Visual models are like this bridge from the, honestly, kind of abstract world of numbers to something you can actually see and touch.
So true.
Like, imagine drawing 2/5 of a rectangle.
Yep.
And then you divide that section into fourths. One of those tiny pieces, that's your answer. 1/4 of 2/5, visualized.
It's like you're taking something that only exists in the world of math and making it real.
Exactly.
And it's not just about, like, getting this problem right. Visuals like that, they build skills for way more complicated math later on.
Oh, yeah, totally. They set you up for understanding stuff like area, volume, all that down the line. It's crazy how these simple things, that kind of unlock these bigger ideas.
It's like, I was trying to think of a good analogy. Like a key that opens a door to a whole other room, maybe?
Perfect.
Okay, so we've seen the classic simplify first move, and we just talked about the visual approach, but hold on to your hats, because there's more.
Always more.
One of the sources we dug into used this cool thing called equivalent fractions.
Ooh, yes. Those are fun.
It's like finding different outfits for the same fraction, am I right?
Exactly. You got it.
Like 2/5 can be 4/10, same value, just looks a little different, right?
Exactly. Same fraction, different costume. And sometimes that little change, even though it seems small, it makes everything click for people.
It's like finding the right language to talk about the problem or something.
Totally. Some people, the visuals work best. Others, they connect with the numbers themselves, and that's fine.
That's the beauty of it, right? Like
Right.
having this whole set of tools. There's something for everyone, whatever learning style you vibe with.
Right. And that's what good teaching is all about, isn't it? Meeting students where they're at.
Totally. And speaking of tools, there were a couple more that I thought were super interesting. The unit fraction method and cross cancellation.
Oh, yeah, those are good ones.
I have to admit, cross cancellation, I used to love doing that in school.
It is satisfying.
It felt so good to simplify before even multiplying. You know what I mean?
I do. There's a certain, elegance to it. You're basically like, I see the relationships here between these numbers, and I'm going to use them to my advantage.
Yes. like a math detective, finding those clues.
100%. You're not just blindly following a formula, you're thinking about the numbers, how they interact.
And the best part is, with all these different methods, we end up at the same answer. It's just that each one, like, pulls back the curtain on a different part of the math.
Exactly. It shows you there are many sides to every problem, just like in life. And that's powerful.
It's like, we don't always have to go with the first method we learned,
Right.
right? Like, maybe there's a better tool for the job. We just got to, find it.
Exactly. And that's a skill that goes way beyond fractions, or even just math in general.
Oh, for sure. Like, thinking back to those word problems we used to get in school, those were always a trip.
Those were the worst sometimes.
I know, right? But think about it now, they weren't just about the math. It was like they were teaching us how to take a real-life situation, break it down, and then figure out the steps to solve it.
100%. They were like puzzles almost.
Yes. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but I try to use the most, obvious method, the one we just learned, and it totally wouldn't work. I'd be
Right.
like, what's going on here?
Happens to the best of us. But that's where the aha moment comes in, right? When you realize there's another way.
Totally. This whole conversation had me thinking about how I approach problems in general.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely have a tendency to get stuck in one way of thinking, and then I get frustrated when it doesn't work out. I'm like, why isn't this working?
We've all been there. But that's the beauty of learning new things, especially in math. It's like we're literally rewiring our brains to be more flexible.
It's like brain training,
Exactly. And that kind of adaptability, that's huge no matter what you're doing in life.
for sure. So, to bring it all back, this deep dive wasn't just about, memorizing some fraction formulas.
Yeah.
It was about understanding the why behind the how.
Totally.
It's about having all these different strategies in our back pocket. And even more importantly, I think, it's about approaching problems, whether they're math problems or just life problems, with an open mind.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And even when we think we've mastered something, there's always more to learn, more connections to make.
So true. Okay, so next time we're faced with a problem, whether it's a math equation or just trying to decide what to eat for dinner, take a deep breath, remember all those different strategies we have, and just enjoy the process of figuring it out.
You got it. Who knows what amazing discoveries are waiting for us?
Right. That's what makes it fun. On that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the surprisingly deep world of fractions. Until next time, keep those minds curious.